welcome back to Plot Twist. I am very sorry for the long delay between my comeback video and now. I had a lot of issues with some dental work that left me unable to speak for a while. So that was a bit of a issue that I had there. Anyway, so I'm feeling much better now, obviously. So I am going to be catching up on a lot of stuff that I have done while I was incapacitated with teeth issues. So there might be a few videos coming out in relatively short order here. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into the first thing that I've been putting off for quite a while. So back in March, Jesse over at Bartell's Bookshelf and I, along with our friend Laura, went on our annual birthday trip to some place to, look for books. It's only mine and Jesse's birthday in March. We're only a week apart. But Laura tags along because, she's like bestie, so she has to go. So we went to Berkeley, California this time. Normally we would probably go to like San Francisco or somewhere around there because it's not too far away from where we live. But San Francisco is really hard to drive in. If anybody's ever been there, the traffic is atrocious. The streets are obnoxiously small, and everything is just super confusing, and you don't have a whole lot of time to commit to a turn if you need to make one. So we decided, let's go to Berkeley. Berkeley is a college town, so it's a little bit more manageable in terms of public transit. There's buses everywhere. There's bus lanes too, which is really cool. Lots of various people from various backgrounds. Hi, Gwen. Gwen's here to say hello, I guess. A lot of neat stuff to see there. A lot of cool buildings, a lot of cool artworks and things like that. The bookstores were amazing. My favorite one was the last one that we actually went to, and it was just, I'm claustrophobic, so it was a little bit of an issue, but it was still so cool just to see books everywhere. This thing was just like packed with books. They were everywhere. They were on the floor. They were like falling out of the bookshelves and things like that. So it was great. So I am just gonna go ahead and jump into the books that I did end up getting while we were there. I'm not gonna spend too much time on a lot of them just because they're books that I just thought sounded good. Really, is all it is. So yeah, I'm gonna try and keep this as brief as I can, just so nobody gets bored or anything. All right, so the first one I got here is Dinotopia Lost by Alan Dean Foster. This is based off of the original work by James Gurney. Dinotopia, when the miniseries came out back in 2000 something, I think it was. That was like my favorite miniseries. Watching it again, I realize how terrible my tastes are. Dinotopia Lost is, I believe, a direct sequel to that. So this takes place a little bit more, or a little bit before the initial Dinotopia novel. So I guess a prequel of sorts, but it's totally separate. I don't think you need to have read the first book at all to really know what's going on here. As far as I know, most of the books are kind of their own thing. They're just all set in Dinotopia, which all you really need to know is that it's a utopia where humans and dinosaurs live together.
I wonder if Dinotopia would be better than living on your shelf.
Alright, the next thing I got here is The Starless Crown by James Rawlings. Rawlins? I'm sorry. Rawlings. Where did I get the G from? So this one was kind of interesting. This is actually a signed copy. And he made it out to James. I don't know if that's to himself or if it's to a fan named James. But I love signed copies, even if they're not worth anything. I just think it's so cool to have something like that in a collection. Just because it's something that the author obviously cared about enough to sign and wanted their name on there and things like that. So this one was really interesting though. So a gifted student foretells an apocalypse. Her reward is a sentence of death. Fleeing into the unknown, she is drawn to a team of outcasts. A broken soldier, who once again takes up the weapon he's forbidden to wield, and carves a trail back home. A drunken prince, who steps out of his beloved brother's shadow and claims a purpose of his own. An imprisoned thief, who escapes the crushing dark and discovers a gleaming artifact, one that will ignite a power of struggle across the globe. On the run, hunted by enemies old and new, they must learn to trust each other in order to survive in a world evolved in strange, beautiful, and deadly ways, and uncover ancient secrets that hold the key to their salvation. But with each passing moment, doom draws closer. So, anybody who knows me knows that I love books about bands of unlikely heroes getting together. People that normally wouldn't associate with each other being forced to associate with each other and lean on each other for the sake of their lives. I love that kind of stuff. I love princes that don't necessarily commit to the typical princely royalty kind of ways. So it sounded really interesting to me. I've heard quite a bit about the Starless Crown. I've heard that it's really good. I've also heard that people think it's a little long and a little dense, but I'm not sure, obviously. But yeah, I definitely wanted to read this, and this cover is just beautiful. Like, I've seen a few different covers for this now, but this one is just really nice. The red, the orange on my camera for some reason. The red is really nice. I love the deep blacks as well. It's Black Halo by Sam Sykes. I mostly got this one because I have the first one already, and I just kind of wanted to continue with getting the series. Oh, and I also ended up picking the Skybound Sea, which is the third book in the series. I think it's a trilogy, so I think I have all of them now. So these next four I'm just going to talk about together because they're all the same series. So if you remember my video on Ink and Bone and how much I loved that book, well, I've been looking for the sequels for quite a while now. I had hoped to get them all in the same cover, but that's not exactly possible. The covers I prefer are UK covers, and here in the US that can be incredibly difficult and incredibly expensive to find. So I settled on just finding whatever I could. And I managed to find the rest of the series, so I am stoked about this. I found the whole thing. I think there's just a side story that I'm missing at this point, but it might be included in one of these, I'm not sure. So I managed to get Paper and Fire. I don't know if these are all in order. I'm pretty sure Paper and Fire is the next one, but I could be wrong on that, I'm sorry. So I got Paper and Fire, Ash and Quill, which this one, I just love these covers. Like, these are the American covers, which is fine. I like the UK ones better, but these are still beautiful. I just love the burning libraries, the books everywhere, ripped pages, all that kind of stuff. It really gives you an idea of what the series is about. Then I got Smoke and Iron. This one I had to get in hardback, unfortunately, so it doesn't home match. That being said, though, it doesn't bother me as much as it used to, so at least there's that. And then I got Sword and Pen as well. So I am super excited about finishing this series. I love the first book so much. It was just a fun adventure. Lots of heart, lots of tension. Rather gory for a young adult. And it actually has gay characters in it, or at least two of the characters are gay so far. I haven't really heard about anybody else. And I picked up Light Before Day, by Christopher Rice. This is the late Anne Rice's son. He is also a very talented writer. I've read a short story of his, or I started reading a book of his. I'm not sure exactly. But he's incredibly talented, just as good as his mother, but with his own style, his own voice. And he's got a wonderful imagination as well. I've talked about this book before. The Steel Remains. Why did I buy another copy of it? Because I found the sequel in a hardcover, and for some reason that bothered me, that I would have a soft cover and then a hardcover. I don't know why, because it didn't bother me with the Great Library series that I just talked about, but for some reason this one did. Yeah, I was super stoked to find the sequel, at least, and I'm only maybe halfway through. I don't know where my other copy is, but I'm about halfway through the first book at the moment, and it is some wonderful writing. It's just a little bit slow, I'll say. So I had to put it down for a bit. I needed something a little bit more fast-paced to get me through this reading slump. Which, by the way, I have been steadily getting out of. I actually have a few books to review now, and give you an update on my blanket. So we have that now. So yeah, I ended up picking the hardcover of the first book and the second cover, or the second novel of The Cold Commands. So I have this app on my phone that allows me to keep track of all my books. See what I have and don't have. And I don't want to talk about it. I don't know where this book is in my collection at the moment, but I don't want to talk about it. So this next book is actually a sequel to another book I have. The first book right here actually being Docile. Interesting story that I haven't really that I haven't really read just yet. But I'm really hoping to. The tagline here is "There is no consent under capitalism," which I find very true most of the time. But so I was super excited to see that. And then, as I said, I haven't read it yet, but I've heard great things. And so I picked up its sequel, First Become Ashes. And this is actually an advanced reader copy. So it's the uncorrected proof, which, as you know, I love these. I think they are so cool to have in collections, especially if you have the officially printed version as well, just so you can see what it looks like side by side. Oh, hi, big boy. God, you're so big. You're so fat. Why are you so fat? I know you're fat, but I don't want to talk about that either. Yeah. You want to say hi? Okay, so I'm going to try and work around Dritz here, because he doesn't seem to want to move now that he's in my lap. Right, so this was a book that I had not heard of at all. This is the Book of Secrets. I don't know if this is the first one, or if I need to read any of the others. What? But it sounded really interesting. It's about orphans, stolen thrones, quests befalling on people who never would take quests to begin with. And I believe this is the young adult. I would imagine so. It takes place in or not takes place, but it centers around a kid. Yes, Dritz. So this was just kind of an impulse buy, I'll say. Drizzt. Yo, boy. So this was just an impulse buy. It sounded really fun. It was also super cheap. I think it was like $1 or $2, something like that. I don't remember. Because it's been 2 months. Or 3. 2. Something like that. So yeah, not much to say on this one. Alrighty, and then I picked up this bad boy, Hero by Perry Moore. I love superheroes, not to the extent that Jesse over at Bartell's Bookshelf does, but I do love them quite a bit. They can be really fun, they can be silly, but still have a whole lot of heart. So when I found a book of gay superheroes, I was just all over it. It's also about a young man who wants to prove that he can be every bit the hero that he says he is. I've always loved stories like that. Invincible, that recently just came out. I say recently, I think it's been a couple years now. But that just came out and proving that they can be a real hero, especially when their parent maybe isn't quite such a hero. And that seems to be the theme of this as well. His father seems to have a past that the main character Tom, needs to work through. So I was really excited to see that trope again, written in a different way. I think this came up before Invincible did. I don't really remember, but still, just it's a trope of mine that I really do appreciate and I really do like. This next book here I got is by Jonathan Shroud, who wrote the Lockwood & Co. series, which is on Netflix, and as far as adaptations go, it's really decent, actually. It gets pretty much the entire heart of Lockwood & Co. And, you know, it does change some things, but some of the things just need to be changed, honestly, because you can't get everything from a book into a TV show. It just isn't going to work out. I love Jonathan Stroud's writing. He has several other books, such as the Bartimaeus trilogy, or the Bartimaeus series, I should say. But this one sounded really interesting. This sounded incredibly different from what he normally writes. So I really wanted to get my hands on this. Okay, so this is Helly Svensson, I think is how you say this, has grown up in the House of Sven, hearing the legends of the heroes as all his forefathers did. But in this now peaceful society, Hallie has always been a misfit. Stumpy and swarthy, with an aptitude for practical jokes, Hallie livens his days by getting into trouble. But when he plays a trick on Ragnar of the House of Hakon, he goes too far, setting in motion a chain of events that will forever alter his destiny. Because of it, Holly must go on a hero's quest that will bring him head to head with highway robbers, terrifying monsters, and a girl who may be as fearless as he is. Along the way, he will discover the truth about the legends, his family, and himself. So your basic, hero needs to go on a hero's journey. Thank you, Gretz. Hero needs to go on a hero's journey. It's called Heroes of the Valley, so it's clearly got a theme going on here. But yeah, it sounded so different. Most of his books seem to be more in the urban fantasy sort of deal. This seems to be pure fantasy, in terms of his setting, at the very least. I picked up Trader's Moon, the third book in the Night Runner series. I have the first two, so I just figured, you know what, I might as well grab the third one while I was there. It was super cheap. I didn't just question it too much. So I have two of this author's other books. I have Shipbreaker and The Drowned Cities, both of which sound really amazing. And then this one just sounded really wild. So Tool of War, it has a lot of tropes in it that I really love. He's a living war machine, once fiercely loyal, now dangerously unpredictable. In a dark future swamped by rising seas, depleted resources, and endless civil war, the price for survival is brutally high. The wealthiest powers buy and breed self-protection by creating bioengineered augments, half men, half beasts, designed solely for combat and blind obedience. But then an anomaly breaks free. The legendary half-man known as Tool. Tool has found a way to resist his genetically controlled impulses and has gone rogue from his masters, emerging as the victorious leader of a pack of human soldier boys. But he is hunted relentlessly by a global force determined to destroy him, led by someone who knows the darkest secrets of Tool's past. Soon, Tool must make the inevitable bloody choice of whom to serve, his gods, his pack, or himself. So yeah, I thought that was really cool for a young adult story. This is really kind of intense. Has some pretty dark themes in it already. So yeah, this is really cool sounding. I'm super excited to get into this. This might be something that I try and get into pretty quickly. I have several books that I'm in the middle of right now. I am getting through the second book of the Darker Shade trilogy. We being Jesse over at Bartell's Bookshelf, and Laura and we are planning on buddy reading Babel together. And I've got so many other books to get through. So we'll see how, quickly I get to this. But this just sounded really cool, really intense for a young adult book. So one of the bookstores that we went to, um, for reasons that I'm sure you'll be able to understand fairly quickly, was called Sleepy Cat Books. And this is a little bookmark that they gave us. And it was just a very, very sweet shop, very small. Not a whole lot. Most of their books had to do with cats, obviously. And this is this sweet little bean that is named after. She is so adorable. I ended up getting a picture of her with the book that I ended up buying from there, which I'll post on here, obviously. And that book was The Cat Who Saved Books. So that just sounded pretty cool to me. I love this cover. It's adorable. But yeah, so it just sounds really fun. Kind of like just a kooky adventure. It reminds me of Page Master. If anybody remembers that movie. How old am
You're
I?
the only one who remembers that movie.
So yeah, it just sounded like a really fun ride. Awkward teenager Rentaro is about to close the second-hand bookshop he inherited from his beloved grandfather. But before the bookshop's doors close for good, a talking cat suddenly appears with an unusual request. Rentaro's help. The mission sends them on a cross-dimensional journey to save books from abusive and negligent owners, from a businessman who leaves his books to perish on a shelf, to a publishing drone who cares only about bestsellers. The adventures culminate in a final fantastic challenge, a labyrinth that leads Rentaro to a realm where a certain soul hangs in the balance. So you can probably guess where that's going to go. But this just sounded fun. It seems to be a bunch of loosely connected short stories about them rescuing books. So we'll see how that goes. This is really, really thin, really short, so I might try and get to that pretty quickly. And lastly here, I have another book by David Dalglish. I will say that name correctly at one point. I have the first book called Skyborn. I have not read that yet, which is a theme, obviously, that I have going on here. But I loved his writing so much in Soulkeeper that I just pretty much buy whatever he has now that sounds good. He's got a few that don't really interest me too much, but this. So the series sounded great. The first book is being Skyborn. This one is Fireborn. It's obviously about winged people, which I thought was cool. So yeah, that's the main reason why I bought this guy. So yeah, that was all the books that I ended up getting from Berkeley. So let me know what you thought of these books. Let me know if you have any of these books, or if you've read any of them. Just maybe want to chat about them. Tell me about your favorite parts. Tell me about your favorite characters as well. Everything like that. I just want to know what your thoughts are. So yeah, that will be it for today. Thank you so much for joining us again here on Plot Twist. I hope you have a wonderful day and keep reading.